There are so many qualified and accomplished colleagues in the American Academy of Forensic Sciences that to single out me was pretty special, and I really appreciated that, was flattered, and was honored to be named for that award. To receive that award, the people that judge these things look at your contributions to the Academy as well as to forensic science. And I feel that in both of those areas, I've received a lot of help. On the academic research side, yeah, my name's on a lot of publications, but along the way, the experiences that I've had in doing that research and the excitement of discovery, the excitement of getting it published, and the collaborations that are made are really the best part of that trip. And I would simply recognize the scores of colleagues, certainly within anthropology, but within other disciplines of forensic science and in countries around the world that I've worked with on projects in a collaborative way to produce these research results. So an award to me is really an award to all of them as well. And they know who they are, and I hope they understand that. On the Academy side, it's kind of the same story. You know, we get involved in projects and serve roles, serve offices, and have accomplishments that we can point to. But it is also a very collaborative effort, particularly in this organization, because the folks are so collegial and so cooperative, and there's constantly a team effort on projects. I was president a few years ago, and again, to me, the most gratifying thing about being president was bringing together people to work on projects together. There were so many projects, but one that in particular comes to mind, we decided to organize a book. And this was a book that I would agree to edit, which was a lot of work during a presidential year with everything else there is to do. But the idea was to bring together perspectives from all 11 sections of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences, and focus on the issues of the day. For each of the disciplines, what are the key issues, what are the problems, how are we going to get past that? And we were able to get that book edited and published the following year, but it went to press while I was still president. And I think that book set the stage for a lot of other collaborative projects that have taken place. On the heels of that, we formulated the Forensic Science in Focus book project with our publisher, Wiley Blackwell, which attempts similar books on different themes, co-sponsored by the Academy and the publisher, Wiley Blackwell. And this was new, and it's still going on. I'm trying to keep that going, but we have a number of volumes that are lined up for publication that are of exactly that nature, that are kind of on cutting-edge issues in forensic science, but that are of interest to membership and also to the publisher. And the good news of that is that all the authors agreed to donate all royalties back to the Academy to various projects. So it's a fundraiser as well. I'm a forensic anthropologist, a bone specialist. I received a PhD from the University of Kansas back in 1973. And my main interest then wasn't really forensic applications. I was trained in that. I was training under some of the leaders of the time there at the University of Kansas. But my primary interest was in peoples of the past, how we could take our science and we could learn about what diseases people had, how long they lived, what were their different relationships, peopling, timing, migration patterns, all that sort of thing. And that's still an interest of mine. But it changed dramatically in about 1977 after I came to the Smithsonian, and a curator there, an older colleague who had been doing all the FBI's forensic anthropology cases, wanted to take a sabbatical, write a book. And I was the junior guy on staff, and so he asked me for that year if I would agree to do all these cases for the FBI while he went off to write his book. And I agreed to do that. And it's stuck, basically. He came back after writing his book and decided that he really had enough work to do without continuing with the FBI cases. And so basically, he and the FBI asked me if I would continue doing that. So I sort of eased into that role, but I kept it up. And until just a few years ago, I had the responsibility of reporting on all of the forensic anthropology cases for FBI headquarters, first in Washington and then when they moved to Quantico. And that was a lot of work, but more importantly, perhaps, in terms of career, the cases stimulate research. In so many cases, we turn to the science that is on our shelves and in our heads to try to solve the problems they present. And usually the science is there in a relatively routine manner where the standard techniques can be applied. But all too frequently, evidence comes in and problems are presented where the science isn't there, where you want to find the solution to a problem, but the scientific methodology is not rigorous enough to allow you to get there. There may be science, but it's based on small samples, or it's not rigorous enough to really address the legal issues associated with forensic analysis. And sometimes the science isn't there at all. Sometimes you want to solve a problem and just nobody's done the science that allows you to do that. And I have found that those types of situations have stimulated some of the best research I've done. It's faced with the casework where we need solutions and the science isn't available. That stimulated me, working with colleagues always, to try to think of research solutions that will put in place the methodology that allows us to address those types of questions. And when I look back, as I said, on my research accomplishments, some of the best stuff I've done has been right there. It's been not inventing techniques, but looking around at different sciences to see what exists in some other area that could be adapted to our particular problems and bring resolutions. And I think that's a power of forensic casework, is that it not only presents an opportunity to directly utilize your science to solve real problems of society and make contributions that really matter, but it also is a stimulus for the science itself. And I think that's often not understood, but it's a powerful motivator to conduct scientific research that is problem-focused. I think our field is becoming increasingly collaborative and interdisciplinary, and I think that's a good thing. I think that we need to understand as practitioners in a particular science, how far we can go with our analysis and at what point we bump into the boundaries of another profession. And rather than bump into those boundaries, if you're working in a collaborative relationship, those boundaries reveal themselves, and you work together to produce a product that has the greatest impact and avoids problems. Collaborative research is important, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we protect the integrity of our individual professionalism and our expertise, so that we're not influenced in a negative way by activity in another area. This is less of a problem within science, but potentially more of a problem with the investigation, to the extent that you collaborate with those involved in the investigation. We have to be careful that we guard against any undue influence that may either obviously or not so obviously influence our analysis. We have to make sure we stay objective, that we focus on the evidence in seeking the truth, and that we don't get pulled into someone else's perception of what may have happened. For many years, I've been involved in international research and casework, and I've worked in many different countries with colleagues in different backgrounds and disciplines, trying to relate to problems they encounter. And it has always struck me how in some parts of the world and in some environments where sometimes there's the greatest need for the input of forensic science and the resources aren't available. And this has always struck me as a sort of a worldwide problem that hasn't been getting enough attention. And various organizations have tried successfully to address this, but it's stuck in my mind that this is an important area where forensic science, good forensic science, needs to be applied, and it isn't always applied as rapidly or as effectively as possible. So 1 year ago, the American Academy of Forensic Sciences decided to launch a formal program, more or less along those lines. It's called the Humanitarian and Human Rights Resource Center, and the concept is to use the assets of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences in intelligent ways to try to address some of these global problems. We have a history of this. This is not new. Many of our members over the years have participated and provided leadership in these types of endeavors, but more on an informal basis on their own or in collaboration with other organizations. Now, for the first time, this academy has structured a formal program in its own right, which attempts to do some of that. And I've been involved working with many colleagues to try to put that into effect this year. This is new. This is a new concept. But already we have assembled a very important international advisory team that is well connected to problems of the world and the needs for forensic science that aren't being well addressed. We have assembled a database of volunteers from the Academy who have stepped forward and said, yeah, this is important, I want to be involved. And these represent all 11 sections of the Academy. We have formed several subcommittees of this Academy on the resource side of this entity, trying to pull together the resources needed for Academy members that will get involved in education on these issues, to garner publications that are relevant to getting up to speed on these issues, unpublished documents and protocols that are needed throughout the world, some advice on what to use, when, and where, and an equipment subcommittee that will seek ways that we can get equipment perhaps donated or funded from alternative sources. In addition, we have some resources we make available directly in sort of a granting mechanism to projects in greatest need, and have a solicitation out for projects that make their case for why they need AAFS help. And for those that are reviewed positively, we try to provide that help. This has been a tremendous amount of progress in 1 year, but I feel pretty good about it. I think we're in a good standing and have advanced a lot in our position to really do some good with forensic science in these areas of the world that so need it. There are a lot of other things I could be doing and probably should be doing. It could be argued, but it's hard to find something more compelling than this, because it's such a tremendous need, and it's an area where forensic science can really make a difference, and there is a need. And if I can do my part in help making that happen, I'm delighted to do it.